This is the 4.1 summer video. In this unit, we're looking at the growth of industrialization and the start of the Industrial Revolution in the United States. It starts with the railroads. So we're going to talk about how government policy led to the construction of transcontinental railroads, and as a result, those transcontinental railroads then led to the development of a national market, and how those railroads then hurt the culture of Native American peoples. During and after the Civil War, the U.S. entered a period of economic growth and westward expansion. This happens in the North, not the South. Remember when we were talking about the South and Reconstruction and how the South was destroyed? So this economic growth really isn't happening in the South. It's happening in the North with industries. That growth creates a national market. But it's also going to threaten the survival of Native Americans in the West. And so that's what we're going to talk about for the next couple minutes. So it created a national system of transportation. Railroads had expanded before the Civil War, and that led to tensions between the North and the South over where that transcontinental railroad was going to go. Remember, transcontinental railroad is where it goes across the continent of the United States, all the way across from the west to the east to the west. The Kansas-Nebraska Act was the first act that really tried to help with that. Remember, Kansas-Nebraska Act established popular sovereignty in Kansas, but it also provided a route west for the railroad, so a way for there to be a transcontinental railroad. During the Civil War, Southern Democrats weren't in Congress, and so that led Republicans to have really free reign to do what they wanted, and so they were able to pass more laws that favored a stronger national government and pass more laws that favored a strong economy. And so Congress started giving land grants away during the Civil War. They gave land grants to railroads, they gave them to businesses, they gave them to farmers, and we'll talk about some of the specific ways. The Pacific Railway Act promoted the building of a transcontinental railroad. So this gave land grants to railroads to build the transcontinental railroad across the United States. The Homestead Act gave land to people out west as long as they promised to live there for 5 years. Pretty good deal. Got 160 acres as long as you promise to live on it and grow and farm on it. That creates the national market. Having this transcontinental railroad across the country, it lets farmers and ranchers out west be able to send their goods back east, and then it lets the industries in the east send their goods out west. It also allows for people to go from the east to the west. And this actually really is what starts industrial growth in the United States, really starts the Industrial Revolution, which we're going to spend more time on in the next couple of standards. The real negative, though, about the railroad is it really destroys the Native Americans out west, which we've already talked about destroying the Native Americans in the east and the Trail of Tears and forcing them to move out west. Well, now we need that land for the railroads. That's again going to hurt Native Americans. One thing the railroads do is they encourage the killing of the buffalo. The buffalo is the entire source of life for Native Americans out west. They use all parts of the buffalo. And so as the railroads move out there, they want to destroy the buffalo so the buffalo don't get in the tracks and it doesn't mess up the trains and doesn't cause issues. They don't cause issues. And so they just do mass killings of buffalo. There's some good pictures I'll show you in class of just like the hides of buffalo. They're just stacked, and buffalo they're not hard to kill. They're not smart animals. It's pretty easy to destroy them. And so they basically wipe out the buffalo. Native Americans are also moved off their lands because the government wants to give that land to the white settlers. So they kick the Native Americans off their land again, and they start putting them onto reservations. Native Americans are going to protest, but really they don't have much choice. They're forced to sign treaties, and if they don't sign the treaty, then the U.S. Army is going to go to war against them, and they're forced to move into small reservations. And then we also make them assimilate into American society. That's what the Dawes Act did, force them to assimilate, become more like us. Native American children were forced to go to boarding schools in the East, and they're taught how to dress and act like white Americans. And so we're really killing the culture of the Native Americans through the Dawes Act. And in effect, to try to hold on to their culture and hold on to their land, the Sioux Indians, actually the ghost dance was created as an attempt to revive Native American tradition. But the U.S., we saw it as a threat because the ghost dance, we thought that they were trying to rebel against us. And so there are going to be a couple different wars, or a couple different battles, and the last major battle actually happens at Wounded Knee. It's referred to in the history books as a battle, but it's really not a battle. It's more of a massacre. A lot of women and children die at Wounded Knee, and it destroys the Native Americans. They have really no chance to fight back, and this is kind of the last battle of the Indian Wars. And so at this point, Native Americans are left in poverty, their culture is in decline, and they don't really have a voice in American democracy. That's all I have. So this is a start. That was the start of industrialization by building the railroads. The negative effect was it destroyed the Native Americans' culture and lives. Please go to Canvas to turn in the notes guide and take the video quiz. And remember to write your name on it. Thank you very much.